Howdy everyone, welcome to a Monster Hunter discussion. In this video, I'll be talking about, I'll be discussing certain aspects on why I think Monster Hunter should only have one expansion. Well, every Monster Hunter game should at least have one expansion and not more. But of course, I just want to mention that today is my birthday. I turned 20 and honestly not much has changed. I know a lot of people when they come an adult, well this was a couple of years ago when I turned 18, your life changes a bit. You know, obviously you can do more things, but at the same time, not much has changed. I'm not going to get my license. I'm not going to drink, I'm not going to drive, I'm not going to smoke. So not much has changed. Not much has changed. Honestly, my life is still the same. I still love Monster Hunter. Love it. So nothing has changed. Sorry, so much dust in my bed. Honestly, I did not dust my bed, so I'm sorry if all the weird stuff is on it. Honestly, I'm so sorry. So let's begin this discussion. Why on earth should we only have one expansion? For many newcomers to the series, they may have realized that, you know, there's only one expansion for World. If those who started from World, many of them may have wondered why there's only one expansion and maybe wanted more. What I can say is that number one, most of Monster Hunter games have only had one expansion. I'm not talking about the spin-offs, but I'm just talking about the mainline and the portable games. They always had um, one, well, most of them anyways, not all of them, but most of them always had one expansion and nothing more. There were certain exceptions from this, for that never got certain games that never got an expansion, like Monster Hunter DOS never got an expansion. Monster Hunter Freedom never got an expansion. Monster Hunter Portable Third never got an expansion. Some of these games haven't gotten expansions, and it's not a bad thing either. It's just that in the past, expansions wasn't as something so needed. But obviously now in the current day, everybody loves expansions, and I mean, come on, let's be real. A lot of us love expanding what we already have, and Iceborne did a fantastic job as an expansion. If you haven't purchased Iceborne, but you have purchased World, you need to purchase Iceborne. It's full with content, so much of content, honestly. But anyways, so Sunbreak is coming up 30th June this month, and of course, I'm sure Capcom will be pushing up some extra content here and there, but not too much. I feel like they're going to be keeping some stuff more of a secret this time around. Totally fine with that. But of course, Sunbreak is going to be the only expansion for Rise, and it's it's an expansion that's worth it. All G rank expansions are always worth it, but of course, for new players, I just want to mention that these games only have one expansion. You know, because honestly, I don't think there's even a need for having more than one expansion. And let's be real, if they had to make another expansion after Sunbreak, they could do it, but obviously they would basically waste time focusing on that, you know, because they can use that same time to work on a different game, you know, because once again, Iceborne is totally done. They done working on content with Iceborne long ago, and um, you can still play as much as you want and get a lot from that game. But once again, the team who worked on Iceborne, I'm sure many of them are now working on the next Monster Hunter game. So I want to be very clear. We won't get so much of newer games if we continue with the expansions. I'm not saying Capcom should not make a spin-off live what do you call it? Um, live a live I don't know. There's a term. There's a term for it. Where you continue to have more and more expansions for one game, more and more content for one game. I forgot the term, but regardless, Capcom has actually done that in the past with Monster Hunter Frontier. obviously it's an old game. I don't think you can play it now. But long ago, that used to be kind of like the live service. Yes, there we go, live service. It used to be somewhat of that, and it extended over G rank. Basically, well, master rank if you are new to the series, but it extended over that. We had new, new ranks introduced. It was very interesting, but I'm not really so smart on that specific series because that series is something I don't really focus on, but there's plenty of information out on the internet if you want to find it out. I should do my own research as well because, to be fair, I only focus on the portable and mainline games and sometimes the stories games, but I don't really focus so much on the other spin-offs. But I think I should because there's so much of content out there. And I mean, I will never play it because you can't play it anymore. But um, then again, a lot of people are still interested in that because those games really went beyond G rank, and it was meant to be a different type of game, not just like a typical Monster Hunter game where you get your base game, then you get your expansions. It was meant to be much more than that, you know. So obviously, I would say that I like Monster Hunter, the portable and the mainline games, to at least keep only one, just only one expansion, nothing more, because the more they'll input into that, then we'll never get a new game. Because imagine if Monster Hunter, the first Monster Hunter game, kept having expansions. We would have never gotten Monster Hunter World by now. We would have never gotten it if they kept throwing expansions over and over. It's best to just have one and that's it. One expansion, that's it. Move on to the next game. Because Monster Hunter World is not so the same as Monster Hunter, the first game in the series. Monster Hunter Rise is different from Generations Ultimate, and Generations and all the other portable games. It's different. So making a new game, it's amazing. So I think it's best for them to only focus on one expansion for the main and portable series, and then they can focus on the next title. Because honestly, who wants to have 100 up expansions for this? You know, I don't. I just want to see new content. Because they always make the game so different. You know. And once again, if you compare Generations to Rise, they're totally different games. Yes, they're Monster Hunter, but the way it's played, it's so different. It's out of this world, honestly. And especially the older games as well. You compare them apart, it's just so amazing. Each game is different. Each game takes certain aspects from the previous ones and build up on that. So that's why I say we should always have more titles and not really stick to too much of expansions. One expansion will do and that's it. There's no need to go further than that, to be fair. I think we should just stick to one expansion. You know? That's just my opinion. I'm sure others might disagree, but hey, tell me your thoughts below. Have a good day. Bye.